Happy holidays, everyone, and welcome to a very special episode of Boobies and Noobies, the podcast that asks novice romance readers to think outside the dick in a box and brave the unbridled world of erotica. I'm your host, Kelly Reynolds, and today marks the fourth day and fourth episode of the Boobies and Noobies holiday special, the 12 Days of Boobsmas. That's right, 12 holiday stories, 12 holiday mini-pods, and 12 giveaways, all happening in the month of December. Joining me today for the fourth installment of the Holly Jolly Boobylicious special are two of my good friends, both of whom are amazing rock star TV editors, Elizabeth Berganza and Bridget Case. Welcome to the show, ladies.
Hello, thank you for having us.
Hi.
Liz's tentative little hi.
Oh, trust me, I'll be laughing all day.
Oh, I know. We're just getting started. We've got our Starbucks holiday beverages. I'm convinced Starbucks needs to sponsor this podcast after the amount we are dropping.
I just think they need to sponsor you.
Just me in general.
Yes.
No, forget the podcast, just me as a human being.
Yes.
Yeah.
Fine by me. Also, happy belated birthday, Liz. I was prepping for the pod and realized your birthday just passed.
Yes, I'm finally 24.
Oh, God. God, I feel so old. Oh, I like it. I'm finally there.
I got there, guys.
You can almost rent a car.
Almost. One more year.
I just did a small gathering with my family and my boyfriend.
Fun.
And then I'm gonna do a little gathering today.
Is it weird having a birthday near the holidays?
No, I loved it growing up.
Good.
I had, double the gifts.
Yeah.
And right after.
Perfect. So you had good friends then, though, because I know that some people are like, oh, I only got one president. I only got one present to double as my birthday and Christmas present.
No way. No, I think they knew.
My dad and my brother's birthdays are a week before Christmas. Always hated it because I have to think of two creative gifts.
Yeah, no, I have a bunch of my close friends too who are either right before Christmas or right after the new year. And I'm like, you fucking kidding me? Now I have to get you two presents? Ugh.
It's inconvenient.
I loved it.
So inconvenient. Thanks for being born, guys. Ugh.
I know my boyfriend's birthday is actually the day before mine, so it kind of sucks sometimes.
Meant to be.
I know. I say that so reluctantly. I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
So speaking of celebrations, moving on from, birthdays to holidays, obviously this specific episode and this series is focusing on holidays, holiday traditions, holiday books. So I will pose that to you two. What are some of your guys' holiday traditions?
I am half Salvadorian, half Guatemalan, so a lot of the traditions are based from Spanish traditions that my parents would do and
nice.
Growing up. We celebrate Christmas at midnight on the 24th, so going into the 25th.
Okay.
And then we don't do a turkey, we cook a turkey, but we do a dish called panes.
Ooh.
And so it's basically like a French roll in a way, but it's shaped like a football. That's how I describe it to everybody. It's shaped like a football, and then it's like a sandwich, and you put mayo, and then the turkey and the sauce, and then cucumber, watercress, and tomato mashes. This whole thing. That, and then we'll make tamales at times too.
That's actually everyone we've been talking to. A lot of tamales at Christmas. Yeah. I'm loving it.
Yeah. So that's usually what we do.
You just eat.
We just eat.
You sit around and eat at midnight.
And we'll lead up to it, and then when midnight strikes, then we're all Merry Christmas, and then we open our gifts, and then.
Oh, so you do the gifts and everything the second it hits Christmas.
Yeah. We're not waiting.
Nice. No, I love that.
Yeah.
That's so great.
It's funny too. I never had that experience of you have to go to sleep and then wake up and then.
Yeah.
Which is funny too because as a kid you're when did Santa come?
It just happens.
What do you do on Christmas Day?
We relax. We're just sitting around the house with a bunch of wrapping paper on the floor.
Well, you're we did all this at midnight. Yeah. Can I go to sleep now?
Yeah, pretty much.
What about you, Bridget?
We always go to a movie on Christmas.
Oh, I love that.
Which is I think that's a very Jewish tradition, and we're not Jewish at all, but we just love going to the movies.
I love, first of all, that you started that with, it's a very Jewish tradition. We're not Jewish,
No.
But that's how we celebrate Christmas.
Because I feel Jewish people don't obviously celebrate Christmas, so
Right.
like they're just gonna like go to the movies and live a normal day.
Right.
And so yeah, we go to the movies every year.
I love it. Well, and usually there's something good that comes out at Christmas anyway, so.
They've been doing it more and more, like movies on Christmas, like come out on Christmas. So
Yeah. That's never been like our tradition, but there was one year where my mom and I went up to her parents' house to have Christmas part 7, whatever, with her family, because we do like 5 Christmases in the day. My uncle had said something to my grandpa that year and called him like an asshole or a jerk or something, and so he was uninvited to Christmas.
No.
And so it was just mom, me, grandma, grandpa. And so what did we do? We went and saw Les Mis.
Yes. Yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
What an emotional time.
Merry Christmas. Javert.
Russell Crowe, though.
Yeah. Oh.
It's all I
Up
can
close
think.
and personal,
It's
too.
all I can think.
Oh my god.
Oh, yeah. That's one I'll never forget, though. All right. Well, time for the festivities to dive right into what we're reading today. And today's reading selection is Christmas on 4th Street, A Fool's Gold Romance by Susan Mallery. And this is actually book number 14 in the Fool's Gold series. It's also one of 2 novels that we'll be reading for the holiday special. Everything else has been much shorter novellas so far. So here's your feature-length novel for you. And this book was published in 2015. It's available on Amazon, $5.99 Kindle edition, which also includes a bonus story that we will not be discussing today.
I was nervous to go to the library because my account is listed as delinquent at the library
Oh my god.
because I have too many fines.
Oh, no.
So I was worried they would not let me check it out, but I once again avoided the fines and will not be paying them.
So just make sure you get this one back
Yep.
on time.
I will not be paying the fines. Sorry to my local library.
Well, mine was just deactivated because that's how long it had been.
There you
So
go.
I
Yeah.
was like, oh, they
And
don't
that-
even have me in the system.
Yeah, and I only have a Glendale library card when I lived in Glendale 2 years ago. So it's been a
good.
while.
I actually just got an LA County one, which I didn't know there was a difference with the public library and then the county library. And I was
Oh.
like, excuse me, where have I been?
No, I didn't know that either.
It's
so
amazing.
good to
There
know.
is.
I mean, good to know for anybody living in LA that listens to this
Yeah.
podcast.
They have
The
But
a
best thing about the LA County Library card is they have a website where you can get a lot of free movies.
that I did know. Yeah, and they also do ebooks too, don't they?
Yeah, they have like a bunch of resources. It's
No, it's
amazing.
awesome.
And even free museum tickets. It's
Yeah.
crazy.
Oh, wow. So before we talk about the book itself, let me just confirm a couple things with you. So
Yes.
the whole purpose of this podcast is to bring in people interested in potentially reading romance, check it out for the first time. So before reading Christmas on 4th Street, had either of you read a romance novel before?
Yeah, Twilight.
The end. That's the end of the podcast right there.
Eclipse, Breaking Dawn.
She's
Wow,
out.
part 1 and 2?
Yeah. Do those count?
I don't know. I mean, I guess they're listed as like young adult romance, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't count them, just as I don't count 50 Shades and I don't count Nicholas Sparks. Like, those are books that I say have romance in them, but they're
Okay.
not
Then I'm gonna go
romance
with
novels.
no all around.
Okay.
I think I read
We'll try and
mostly-
forget that Twilight comment. Like,
No, you can
it's gone.
keep it in. Twilight.
I read them all. It's
I think
fine.
it's more like young adult, if anything.
Okay.
Like, I know Abby Glines, she's one of the authors that I would read. She has like a series going on.
Okay. This is actually, I think this book is a good kind of segue to if like you haven't read like traditional romance novels, like if you're coming from more young adult or like you're like, I don't want to maybe jump straight into something like 50 Shades of Grey. I think Susan Mallery in general is like a good author to kind of like guide you into the
And
universe.
Any romance novel that's not 50 Shades, I would feel comfortable reading that in public.
Yes, especially this cover's so calm. Like, I know a lot of people, we've talked about this on the podcast, that a lot of people don't feel comfortable with, you know, pulling out the book in public that's got like the guy bearing his abs and everything. But this is a very wholesome romance is the word
was
I'm
so
going
wholesome.
with. Yeah. And it's, you know, they're dressed lovely. It's a snow scene on the cover and everyone's
has
got their clothes on.
The ending on the cover.
Yeah.
I'm just going to throw that out there.
Yeah.
Such a
Spoiler.
spoiler.
It's on the front.
And you know what? The reason I chose this book too was, one, I am a fan of Susan Mallery. I've read most of her other books. And two, I asked both of you what you were interested in reading. And Bridget said, I really love anything Hallmark movie. And I was like, oh, well, this is perfect because they actually made a movie for Hallmark out of one of her other books called Marry Me at Christmas. So,
hopefully you're down for that, Liz.
Yeah.
Yeah. I know. Liz was just kind of like, okay.
Sure. But Netflix is now stepping their Christmas movie game up.
Oh, I know.
We've got those to deal with as well.
I've watched 2 Netflix ones so far this year, and they've been good. They've been cute. That's all I'm looking for. Lifetime, too, is like putting out a bunch this year, too.
I know. I remember last year they had one with Ashanti. And I was
of course they did.
Excuse me, like, what are you doing here, girl?
Yeah. Well,
and Michael Murray came out with one this year.
I was about to say,
it yet.
which, by the way,
excited.
is probably one of my favorite Hallmark Christmas movies I've seen in a while. It's called Road to Christmas. Chad Michael Murray.
So you've seen it?
Oh, yeah. No, I watch them when they come out.
Oh,
like,
dedicated.
and I sometimes will like live tweet them. I follow, there's like 3 podcasts I follow that are all about Hallmark movies. So they're like, this time of year is,
no
you know,
shortage of
the
them.
Super Bowl. It's great. So I'm just saying the ones this year so far have been rocking. Last week was the Leanne Rimes one.
Oh, I haven't seen that one.
Yeah, it was cute. She sang.
I'm not surprised.
Yeah. So that's the reason I chose this novel. But anyway, back to reading. Was there, besides young adult, seems like that was like young adult romance you both kind of tapped into a little bit. Had you ever thought about reading a romance novel?
No, not really. I feel like, I don't know, I felt like I couldn't get into them. I don't know why.
Okay.
Even though the young adult ones, I guess, are like the more tame version.
Yeah. Do you know, like, do you have a reason why? Like, why you didn't think so?
Maybe it was just the cover art.
It's just too intimidating.
Like, oh my god, why is he naked?
It's true. I mean, it's definitely usually like sex sells.
I'm
like
definitely one of those people who are like, please don't look at me as I search for underwear. Please don't.
I'm gonna hide my tampons and bras while I
exactly.
go through.
got
I'm just going to the
it.
restroom
Got
now.
it.
Don't worry
Okay.
about it.
What about you, Bridget?
I had never been against it, but also had never actively seeked out romance novels.
Yeah, it wasn't really like on your to-do list.
No.
Okay, that's fair. What do you guys normally read? Or do you read? I mean, not to say like you don't know how to read, but like I just
pretty
know
illiterate.
we've had
Don't
so
know how
many
I got
people
there.
on who are like, you know what, I don't have time to read. Like I never sit down and read a book. So I get that too.
I've been trying to read more, and so I do normally read, but it's usually like things that are in the top 10
Okay.
of like New York Times bestsellers, which
Okay.
is a very broad list now. I feel like
Yes.
anything can get into the top 10.
I know.
I know, I wish that I read more books. It's been a while, like I said, my car deactivated.
Sure.
That's how bad it was. But I think I would read more of like the school readings. I would go back to those kinds of books. So,
Okay.
Like Tales of Two City and like Rebecca.
Yeah. So the classics.
Yeah. Those always get me. If they have something to do with crime, I'm on it.
Okay. Well, and you know what? There's a lot of good books too that are coming out now that they're adding to like the reading list for schools. Because my mom's a 6th grade teacher, and one of my best friends is an 8th grade teacher. So there's definitely a wider range of books they're having kids read now and teens read now. So I'm very impressed by what's on their reading list these days.
But I don't know if that would make them not like these books, because I feel like kids in school like just usually don't like whatever they're forced to read.
Yeah, that's true.
Because I know there's a couple books on like the school list now that I read for fun that I really enjoyed, but I feel like
Same.
if I was forced to read them in school, I probably wouldn't like them.
Yeah, I guess it depends too, because I know like with my mom's class, like they do a lot of their reading aloud. Like they will all open their books and she will like read the book aloud to them, like as they read through. And the one book they're reading right now, Scat, it's a Carl Hyacin book, and he writes books for adults too. But they love it. Like, and it has to do with like oil, like they're like stealing oil from Florida, and like there's like such a like plot with it and everything. And the main character, his dad is coming back from Afghanistan, and he's lost an arm in the war. Like, I mean, they're getting like heavy. And I wonder if it's because it does feel more real. Like it's tapping into more current events that maybe they do connect with it more.
That's dark for 6th grade.
Yeah, I know. No, but
Harry
it's
Potter in 6th grade. The first one.
Yeah, no, it's really incredible. Like, there's a lot of books coming out now that are just much more topical about, our politics that are going on, gender equality, race, and everything like that. So, I mean, I don't know. I feel like they're becoming maybe more informed, which is good.
Yeah.
But I don't know if that's going to lead them to want to read romance when they are older.
Maybe.
I mean,
a change.
The reason I kind of tapped into it was, and the reason I've kept up with it is it's such a awful world outside a lot of the days that it's nice to come home to something that is going to end well.
Warm and Hallmark.
Yeah, I mean, it's the reason I watch Hallmark movies. I love it. But before we get down to the book, let's hear a promo for Friday the 13th.
Hey, Andrew.
Hey, Maddie.
Do you like horror movies?
I sure do.
Well, did you know that most horror movies are inspired by real-life horror?
Really? Like what?
Well, take The Shining, for instance. That's based on Stephen King's real-life addictions, or The Purge, which could be our country any minute now.
Oh, and The Strangers, which is based on a real-life murder. People should be talking about these things.
Hey, guys.
Oh, hey, Producer Michael.
Hi.
Well, I hate to break it to you, but somebody already is. It's you!
That's right! We are Friday the 13th, the podcast where we talk about horror in real life and horror in media, all from an LGBTQ perspective.
Because we gay, y'all.
We are proud members of the Legion Podcast Network, and we can be found on iTunes, SoundCloud, Stitcher, or wherever your favorite podcasts are found.
And follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Come along with us on this crazy journey, and as always,
Get slayed!
Now, Liz, you have a funny story because you texted me the other day saying, oh my gosh, I just saw Fabio.
Yes. So I was at a birthday dinner and we were eating sushi, and then I'm a very observant person, so I'm like hardly ever paying attention to the person I'm supposed to be.
Yes.
Which happened to be my boyfriend at the time.
Well, you see him all the time.
Right, so
it's
You know what he looks like.
Yeah.
So I was just like looking around, and then in walks Fabio, just like tall and handsome, long hair.
Oh
and
my
he's just,
gosh.
Like, relaxed, and they sit him in a corner. By the way, he's eating by himself.
I know, no, because she sent me a picture.
And
And
solo sushi.
we can post the picture too, but you won't know it's Fabio, like, because it's
side.
a side shot of him in the corner all alone.
Yeah.
eating solo sushi.
But I definitely
Yes.
was like, I think that's Fabio, and it's just one of those people that you don't expect to see.
Right.
Person. I don't
Right.
know. And
I
was
would
like,
never have recognized him.
I just
Yeah.
immediately was like,
But
Fabio.
you saw him actually like walk in and
Yeah.
everything. See, I feel like I would have known him from that if I like was sitting and I looked to my right and just saw a buff man with long
Oh
hair.
yeah, no.
Maybe
Definitely saw
wouldn't.
him front face.
Nice,
And
full
it was
frontal.
like, yeah.
Perfect.
Oh my god.
Full frontal Fabio
Yes.
for the win.
Yes.
Yes.
There it is.
And then I snuck a quick picture, which you can see my boyfriend Jake's face in there, and then this other couple. And I'm like, I had to circle Fabio, and I was like, that's him.
Well, the conversation was funny because Liz says, do you know Fabio? And I was
asked
like,
the
well,
people,
of course
yeah.
I know who Fabio is. She's like, he's eating dinner. Like, I'm seeing him eat dinner. And
I love one of the first people you thought to text was Kelly.
yeah, I was like, this is great. And I told her, I was like, take a picture. Like, get that.
Please.
She's like, there's these other people in the way.
Yeah,
Like,
there was. This guy just kept like blocking my view, and I
I'm
was
between
like,
you and Fabio.
well, Fabio, if you're listening, next time you're eating sushi solo, you just come right on over and
Join our table.
Yes, join us. We will gladly eat sushi with you any day of the week.
It was great.
Okay, so without further ado, let me brief you with the synopsis for our story, brought to you by Amazon.com. This is the synopsis of Christmas on 4th Street by Susan Mallery. There's nowhere better to spend the holidays than with New York Times best-selling author. Oh, look out, Bridget.
Hey,
New York Times
perfect.
best-selling
Perfect for
author.
me.
Susan Mallery in the town of Fool's Gold where love is always waiting to be unwrapped. Noelle Perkins just got a second chance at life and she intends to make the most of it. That's why she's opening her own store in Fool's Gold, California. The Christmas Addict celebrates everything that's magical about her favorite season. Business is booming, and as a bonus, gorgeous army doctor Gabriel Boylan has offered to help out during the holiday rush. I feel like I didn't realize
know
his
that
last name was Boylan.
Yeah.
Gabriel Boylan.
Ew.
Oh man, sounds like a disease.
I don't like that.
Oh god.
Gabriel's memories of Christmas past contain more sour grapes than sugar plums. Thanks to his drill sergeant father. I'm like forgetting this entire synopsis, but now I'm loving every second of it.
She really laid on the Christmas.
Oh yeah. Spending the holidays with his family while he recuperates from an injury sounds as appetizing as last year's eggnog. Good. Okay, we need to stop with the Christmas references. Still,
We get it.
Can't
We
stop,
get it.
won't stop.
Still, there are some enjoyable distractions in town, including sunny, sexy Noelle and the red-hot mistletoe kisses they can't stop sharing.
Ooh.
Yeah, Gabriel didn't think he was made for happily ever afters, but when fate hands you a love as sweet and surprising as this, only a fool could refuse.
So they do tell you the entire plot in that little summary.
Yeah. You know what's funny is I'm noticing a bunch of things, and we picked this book out a while ago. Yeah. So I am noticing some things in this synopsis that I didn't really think about when I was reading the book. Like, one of the main things you find out about, I wanted to call her Nicole. One of the main things you find out about Noelle, but you don't find it out until much later in the book, is that she survived leukemia, within the last couple years. And it's a whammy. Like, she lost her grandmother and her mother in a car accident. She got leukemia. While she was sick, her fiance left her. Mm-hmm. As she was recovering, she went back to work and basically lost her job because they wouldn't give her any work. And then she's like, yeah, I'm just going to leave this all behind and start anew. But none of this really... You don't get this info until much later.
And one thing that I did notice in this summary is it mentions that he's recovering from an injury.
Yeah.
They don't tell us.
They bring it up, but they never mention how it happened, where it happened.
Right.
She never questions it.
No. He says how it happened.
He does?
Yeah.
When?
For it's early on. He tells like his brother or his father. It was really stupid too, because I was like, are you kidding me? That's how you got hurt? He was doing a surgery or something medical.
Yeah.
And somebody had glass embedded in them, and instead of having it removed, he just reached in with his bare hand and took it out, and that's how he cut his hand.
Are you sure? I do not remember that.
No, I will find the point in the book. So what we're talking about...
I just assumed that he had punched someone.
Right,
because
or
his hand was cut off.
I thought it would have something to do more with the fact that, I don't know, he's in the army. But so we're talking about the fact that Gabriel, our male protagonist, he shows up in Fool's Gold to visit his brother, who has moved there, fallen in love, as they all do in Fool's Gold.
Yep.
And settled down and bought radio stations.
Nothing about a radio station. Just buys
so
one.
random.
Got so much money just buying a radio
Yeah,
station.
and so he goes to visit his brother for the holidays. Oh yeah, here we go. Okay, he says, and this is 30, 40 pages into the book.
Missed that.
Jeez.
It was so small. Gabriel says, my patient and his buddies got in a fight, and one of them went through a plate glass window. They drove him directly to the hospital, which saved his life. There was a large piece of glass, and I forgot I didn't have superpowers and pulled it out barehanded. The move had been stupid. He knew it, and everyone in the ER had known it too. 1 second he'd been a rational doctor doing what had to be done to save his patient, and the next he'd been spurting blood everywhere.
Ew.
And I was just like, are you kidding me? You are a doctor?
I don't have superpowers.
Yeah, what?
Well, and I just thought, I don't know. It wasn't a big thing to me, but I was like, why? Why is
We
that?
just jumped right in, but...
Yeah, I don't know. But so anyway, he gets hurt. The army tells him to take a break, go home, relax, heal your hand. He goes to Fool's Gold and is about to have the first Christmas with his family in years, including his parents, who he clearly has unresolved anger issues with his father.
It seemed like he hadn't called them or talked to them in years.
Yeah, and that's what he says. I mean...
But they're they don't ever talk about that and they just like jump right into being family again.
I know. It was odd because like there's obviously tension between the dad and then Gabriel and his brother Gideon, because the dad is like, the men in this family serve in the army and that is our job. And Gideon served in the army. He had like a traumatic backstory too. He was
that
like,
just came out of nowhere.
He was taken by the Taliban and held for 2 years and tortured, and oh my God.
That was just like a side comment. That he was like, oh, by the way, my brother was tortured for years. If he can do it. Like,
so one of the things about this book tying into the rest of the series is we're coming into this book as book number 14 in this series. So there's definitely going to be like people we meet, things that maybe are touched on that you're going to ask, like, what are they talking about? Who is this? Like, what's going on? That's definitely one of the issues of coming into a series, like, through it. But each book is also a standalone novel. So that's kind of the understanding you have to have coming in, is obviously they want you to read all of them, right? But if you're starting with book 14, I'm sure what Susan Mallery is hoping is that you will then want to go back and read all the other books in the Fool's Gold series.
Yeah.
Maybe,
Definitely while I was reading this, I was like, is there a book on everyone else?
Yes.
Like, this is too familiar.
Yeah. So what I can tell you guys about Fool's Gold is that I haven't read all of them, but I have read several of them, and I did read them starting at the beginning when they started coming out. When the series starts, Fool's Gold, California is a small town. I'm picturing it to be kind of where like Big Bear is or Mammoth is. Like it's like a small mountain town in like the middle of California.
They go to the mountains.
Yeah, and they get snow, so it's definitely like closer to Nevada. But when the series starts, the whole reason it starts is that Mayor Marcia, who I love, I just find her hysterical.
I did not like her.
She doesn't happen that much in this book, but like she kind of has like this magical quality almost. Like I always thought, like, is she supposed to be magic? Is this like those books where like the mayor's like secretly Santa or something, you know? But
your Christmas wish will come true.
Yeah, exactly. But Fool's Gold at the beginning of the series is like all women. Like there's like no men that live there. And so Mayor Marcia starts bringing in people to like basically create opportunities for like them to attract more people to this town, specifically to have men like move to this town.
I feel like I have many issues with that.
Yeah, that's like theory.
Well, I thought it's funny because it's like when you remember when they go to Joe's bar and she's like, I'm going to buy him a eggnog or whatever. And he's like, why is this bar, like this bar's like purple and sparkly and stuff. When you, like in Fool's Gold, all the businesses were like catered to women, like to start with. So Joe's bar, like they talk about in every book, is like purple. They play like HGTV or like E Network on the TVs. They serve like cocktails and like fruity
that's actually really
drinks.
Funny because I've seen many tweets and like people saying like, why isn't there like an equivalent of a sports bar for like women?
That's
with,
what they have.
That's so funny that it actually like exists in these books.
Every time I've read these books, that is the one thing I always remember is Joe's bar, because I'm like, damn, I would go to that bar in a hot second. But yeah, so that's just so you know, that's where the history of Fool's Gold comes from, is like they were, so like they bring in, like in one book, remember they mentioned Josh Golden, the like cyclist or whatever.
Yeah, I remember him at some point.
Yeah, so he's in one of the books, and it's like they take him, they do a like Bachelor. They film like a show like The Bachelor in one of the books to like try and attract more people there. They do Josh Golden moves there. They open the bodyguard school, which is just the weirdest thing. And then they're gonna, what was the other thing she said? She's like, all these NFL football players are gonna move here. Yeah, because they start having like a training center for like a football team there. So they basically like build this town up every book and try and bring more and more people there. And then whoever shows up falls in love with someone.
You gotta keep the novels going somehow, I guess.
Yeah. So there's your brief history of Fool's Gold.
I just hate the name.
Huh?
I just hate the name.
Fool's Gold. Yeah. I think it's because like gold was discovered there.
I'm assuming it's some California gold
Something,
rush
yeah, it's
thing.
California. Something gold rushy.
Gotta be.
But that's actually one of the things I do like about not just this book, but about this series is I like the town. I like the atmosphere. You know, it's something, if you're a sucker for Hallmark movies, especially the Christmas movies, these are the books for you. Yeah. Like, it's every book. There's like 8 festivals, a parade. There's all these weird characters. Tree lighting. There's the damn elephant that like...
I have many problems with that as well.
I'm sure you do. What, just the fact that they have an elephant?
You can't have an elephant, right? Like... It's
on like a farm.
But
I feel like why?
You can't just be an average person and own an elephant.
No. It's like a farm. Like they have like other... It's like Malibu wines and safari.
I guess. I just feel like elephants are already like kind of they're not endangered, but I feel like there's already so many restrictions and like...
Right.
With elephants, like how can they just have one?
I don't remember.
And they dress it up in clothes.
I know. I don't remember how. I remember the goats. I do remember the goats in a previous book. I don't remember the elephants or like why they're there, why it's there. Priscilla the elephant.
No.
Yeah, Priscilla the elephant. But yeah, I mean it's cute. It's cute. It's a cute town. It's very picturesque. There's all these weird businesses. There's the old ladies that like pinch Gabriel's ass on their way out of the store.
Okay, also sexual harassment.
Well,
yeah, one of them was the mayor. She slaps his ass.
Does she?
Yeah.
No, it wasn't the mayor.
Was it not?
It was like
it was
Evie or Edie or...
Well, no, because when he goes to the bar, he says like, oh, she looked familiar, but I couldn't place her. And then he's like, oh yeah, I remember the slapping of my ass.
I don't think she slapped his ass. Mayor Marcia wouldn't slap someone's ass.
It was like an older lady.
Mayor Marcia's the classy lady, Liz.
I don't know. The bartender seemed to think otherwise. So
a classy,
like, don't even try.
magic lady.
I was like, what?
What else did you guys like about the book?
I liked her backstory. I mean, it was really interesting
for Noelle.
Yeah, I liked that. I don't know. I guess, she was a big time lawyer, and then she's like really smart, but she's very humble about it. 'Cause she keeps talking about her friend Felicia being all like super smarter than her,
right?
And I'm like, but you graduated 3rd in your class in law
school.
school.
She rarely brings up that she's a lawyer in the first place.
Yeah,
she's like NBD.
I'm with you. I found her interesting. She's very. I don't want to say not passive aggressive. Like she's very aggressive, just in the way like she talks. Like she's never like quiet. She's very outgoing. Yeah, I did like her. And you know what? She's like one of many characters in this like universe that I feel like they kind of all move there for like the new beginning sort of thing. Like that's what I gather from it is, even Gabriel and his brother, like Gideon shows up there. I don't even remember the reason why Gideon started in Fool's Gold, but he's like, oh, I fell in love. I decided to start fresh, do these radio station things. Right. It seems like kind of the place where people just sort of like magically happen upon, and it's what they needed all along.
She put a pin on a map, and that's where it was. And that's where she had to go.
I have to say, that did really bother me.
I was like, did you not change? Because like I wouldn't want to end up somewhere where like, no.
Well, plus she was already living in LA. So I'm like, you put a pin in the map, and it was 300 miles from where you already live.
Yeah, that's true.
That's problematic.
She's just like, not too far.
Yeah. I did not, at first, I didn't like that.
I thought she was moving cross country.
No, she lived in LA. She lived in LA and she lived the hustle and bustle.
Fool's Gold was
California.
I was like picturing it to be
Vermont.
like Vermont.
Yeah.
Like New Hampshire in the mountains.
I think that's why I picked up a Fool's Gold romance the first place. I was like, oh my God, it's set in California.
All right, well, I found the line where Marcia slapped his ass.
She did not.
See, look. So somehow he found himself following the woman, Mayor. He told himself to stop, that he had no business going into a bar with a woman 30 years older than him. He remembered that butt pat from the other day and wondered if he was about to get into an even more awkward situation.
I don't think he's saying that she butt patted him, though. I think he's just saying,
happened.
I had another woman 30 years older than me butt pat me the other day. I hope that doesn't happen again.
We got some cougars in this town. That's okay.
Yes, they're like the old cronies. They're like, oh, check him out.
But I did like how the Noelle, our main character.
Yeah.
She it was like one of the first pages. She like looks in the mirror and like thinks to herself like, I am strong, I am capable, and I was like, I love a self-empowered sister, you know.
And she's trying. I love this. She's trying to gain weight like during the book because she lost weight when she had cancer, which you don't know. She just mentions like back when I was sick,
Right.
and like every time she kept saying it, I'm like, oh shit, she was like really sick. Like we just don't know the details yet. But she's like, yeah, I've gained like 30 pounds. Like I'm gaining like a pound a month. I'm like, you go, girl. Yes. You get it.
That was really sweet too, because her friend tells her like after like later on in the book, and she's just like, oh, I wish I was as thin as you. And she's like thinking in her head, she's like, trust me, I wish I had that problem too. Like, I want to gain more weight so that I can start thinking that way.
Yeah.
Like, man, I wish I could lose. But she's like, I'm trying to gain weight.
Well, it's a nice look at body image too, because I feel like, you know, especially as a plus size woman, like, you know, she's obviously, you forget that everybody has body issues. Like it's not just if you're bigger. It's, you know, if you're super thin too, you can feel self-conscious about that as well. Like, so I love that was represented.
Yeah. That was really nice.
I do think another great example of her being like a really strong character is near the end, because she and Gabriel are having this kind of like back and forth romance, but he's saying he's going to leave, go back to the army. Right. And so he thinks that she's got cancer again.
Oh, yeah.
And he says, marry me, I'll take care of you. I'm like, such a doctor, right? Like such a like, he says it a few times. What is it called? Like compassion fatigue, sickness.
Yeah.
And so when she realizes that's why he proposed, she tells him, I'm too strong for you. She said flatly, I don't know why I didn't see it before. I suppose I was blinded by your good looks and charm and how you made me feel. I appreciate what we've had together. You're a great guy, but you're not the one for me. I deserve someone who wants to be with me for the next 80 years, not just 8 weeks. It's not about dying, because you're right. We could all go tomorrow, but what if we don't? What if I live to be 100? I want to be with a man who would celebrate that.
We love a self-empowered sister.
Oh my God. I was like, oh my God, she wants to know if it's really bad comparison because it was a terrible movie. But do you remember Suicide Squad?
Yes.
Do you remember when the Joker asked her, he's like, would you die for me? But would you live for me? No. And I was like, oh, that's like the same thing. I know. Well, it's a terrible movie. I'd watch any Hallmark movie over Suicide Squad again.
Yeah, I would. There's a lot of terrible movies I would watch over watching Suicide Squad for a second time.
But that is what she's asking him, is like, yes, you're worried about like me dying. You're worried about us dying and not having time to spend together. But the harder thing will be living together for, 80 plus years. Can you do that? So I liked that. I thought that was a really good way to put him in his place and wake the hell up. Did you like all the Christmas crap?
No.
No? Was it too much?
I have to say, I liked the store. I was like, this is definitely something I would go to.
The Christmas attic. And they have those stores. Like, I feel like there's one in, like, every small town is, like, the all-year Christmas store.
They had one in New Orleans when I was in school, and I would go so often, which was nice.
It does make me wonder what the rest of the year looks like for you. Like, what else do you do? And that, in fact, that was something that bothered me, is he makes a suggestion to her, like, oh, during, like, Easter, you should sell Easter baskets and you should do the other holidays. And she's like, yeah, I never thought about that. And you're like,
Where's your long-term goals?
Like you moved to this small town to start fresh. I get it. But then you decide to open up a Christmas store without thinking about how you're going to run your store during the year when it's not Christmas.
Yeah.
Like, so random. But
that's not a very good business plan.
No.
Well, that just reminds me of, like, Whoville. And then they mentioned that too, and I was like, "Is this town like Christmas all year round, or like what's happening here?"
They are very like festival all year round. Like
I was all about having the tree lighting, all the town festivals. I was cool with that until they had the Christmas window decorating thing. The competition.
You didn't like that?
Didn't like that.
Oh, I loved that. I thought that was such a great idea because that was something fresh I don't see in like other ones. Like. I've never seen, there's one Hallmark movie that's like where they decorate the window fronts of like a big like, like Macy's or something. Oh, yeah. But I thought that was a super cute idea. Bridget did not. I didn't, put it this way, I did not like the way it was executed. Like, when they do.
I think that was my issue.
Because she's the one, Noella's like, learns about this window decorating contest in town, right? And I'm like, oh, cute, okay. But then it becomes her like obsessing about finding the perfect Christmas tree, which they never find.
No.
And then Gabriel, has his entire family decorate her window, and she's not even involved.
Yeah, but
And it's supposed to be like a present to her. Like,
But
it's so
I did
weird.
not like that.
Also, they put so much effort into finding this perfect tree.
Right.
And they decide they're going to go into the forest in the mountains.
Right.
And cut one down.
Like, what?
But she thinks about how it's potentially illegal.
Yeah.
Because it's like state property.
Yeah.
But they never actually find out whether it's legal or not.
Right.
They just kind of go and do it.
They go somewhere where Mayor Marcia tells them to go. Because you're right, at first it was like they were going to go and they're like, oh, but we don't know if it's legal or not. And then I think Mayor Marcia gives them like the go ahead or whatever. But then they still don't get a tree.
Nope.
And they're like, well, we'll just find one in town. I'm like, why are we going through all this? So I guess we can segue into what we didn't like.
I feel like I can just go straight through on the plot points.
Okay, go for it.
Those are the things I didn't like. Obviously, they end up together.
Right.
I feel like we've
like, you
already
know
said
that's
that.
where it's going to go.
Yeah. And so the whole timeline of this book is like right before Thanksgiving it starts.
Yeah.
And then it ends just before Christmas.
On
Or, like,
Christmas.
On Christmas.
Yeah.
So they've known each other for maybe 5 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
They don't go on a single date.
Well, no, but they have like the falling in love experience. Like, they spend
true.
a lot of time together.
That's
and he's
true.
working
'Cause
with
I
her.
guess, they are at the store together.
Yeah, like I've read a few other books, even for the holiday one, where they're shorter books, but it goes from like them just meeting for the first time to being like, marry me, let's be together forever. And I'm like, whoa. Like, you guys have only been fucking. Like, you have not, you've not talked about, this one was kind of the opposite, where it's like they spent a lot of time talking, getting
That's
to
true.
know
it was
each
like
other.
100 pages before they kissed.
Yeah. So, I mean, this one I will definitely let pass on, like, the falling in love, even if they don't go on an actual date.
Okay,
like,
you've got a point there.
okay, good. Got you.
I just did not like the beginning, though, where he's like, they first meet in the apartment or the house or whatever.
Yeah, he saves her from, like, driving into the
but
snow.
He's, like, already judging her, and he's like, oh,
Yeah.
she's, like, lanky, and she's not cute.
Okay.
I would never go for her. And it's like, but her smile is really great.
I don't remember, I'm sure there was a point, but I don't remember reading, there was a point where his opinion switched because he just kept saying, like, all the things that are wrong with her and, like, thinking
all the
of
things
this.
that are wrong with everything. That was, like, my problem with Gabriel is he is what I would call a straight up Eeyore. Like, he did not like anything, like anybody. Like, he just, from start to finish, is just so down on himself, down on what he does, and obviously
Everything is sad. Everyone dies.
and I get it. You have this awful backstory with your dad in the army and everything, but you know how usually those books or movies go, where they find like their new passion or like the new thing. Yeah. Oh, this is what I really want. But I feel like he doesn't have that at all. Like he's gonna leave and stay in Fool's Gold with her and become a doctor there. Like,
he did say that it was the best of both worlds, where he's like, I'm forced to be in the army, so I might as well be a doctor because that's what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
So he gets like
he's like, I want to help people. Like, and he does. Like, they have that whole avalanche thing in town, and he like helps all these people. And I did like what he said though about how he's like, this is different because like the people actually come back to me afterwards and they thank me and they send me, hugs and cards and stuff. Like when it's in the army, I like fly these people to the hospital where they go and usually die, and I never hear about them ever again. Mm-hmm. So I was like, okay, I guess that's a light at the end of the tunnel.
Probably more life in this town rather than death.
Yeah, there you go. So he had something, I guess, but
that it was a very small part because you didn't seem to care about it too much.
No. Well, and what Liz said about him, like, judging her.
Yeah.
I marked, like, 4 places, and it's always about food, usually, where she'll be like, let's order pizza, you know, and he'll be like, you eat that?
Oh.
And then he says the same thing about hot chocolate. He says the same thing about her drinking beer. Yeah. And I don't think it's meant to be.
He's like, wow, you drink beer?
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, a lot of women do.
So that was my thing is I'm like, is this supposed to be like a diss about her being thin or like about being a woman?
Right.
Like,
it just... Yeah, at the beginning of the book, he does that a lot, too, where he's just like, oh,
it's
she knows
constant.
her way around the kitchen because that's what women do.
Right.
And it's
and
like,
right when they first meet, I wrote this down, he has a thought, right when she sees his hand, she sees the blood, and then she faints. And
oh, yeah, that's right.
He thinks to himself, this is why I hate the suburbs.
Yeah.
And it's like, because people faint at the sight of blood?
Yeah, oh,
like,
look
that's
out.
why you hate the suburbs? His thoughts were just very problematic all throughout.
yeah, I was like, excuse you, you don't even know her.
Oh,
But
God.
then he was like, oh, her smile caught my eye, so definitely going somewhere.
He
like,
just was very blah.
Yeah.
Like, I did not find him attractive personality. I did like that he had like witty banter, like sarcasm and stuff, but it's like that only is cute if like you're also fun and like growing as a person. Like, he just was not fun. He didn't seem like he was ever having fun and just hated everything. So that was my biggest criticism of the book was I was never into Gabriel.
I'm trying to think of a time that he was like happy and had fun.
He says that he likes working at the store.
Sex,
he says he likes working at her store. But even then he's like, yeah, but I wouldn't do this like for real. Like,
That's so rude.
I know.
And then people keep judging him, being like, you were a doctor and now you're working in retail. And he's like, yeah, I don't want to, but like, here we are.
Yeah. I don't know. It was weird, especially, and again, there's the whole family drama with the dad. I get it. Like, the dad is judging them. And then the dad has his, like, miraculous change of mind.
I was telling her that as well. There's no character arc for the dad. All of a sudden, he just comes around and you're like, whoa, where did this come from?
Well, he compares him to the dog.
Yeah, he says
like,
he says that he has had a change of heart because he's been spending a lot of time with Gideon's, like, long-lost son. I have no idea what the story is with that. And the puppy that they have. And like, oh, I learned that by training the puppy, like when I yell at him, he doesn't follow orders. But when I'm kind and treat him well, then he does. I'm like, oh,
like, I think
what a discovery.
I'm pretty sure Susan wrote that part, and then she was like, shoot, I never mentioned the dog before, and then goes back to her previous chapter and added it in, being like, oh, by the way, she has a dog. They have a dog. The dad's training
The dog
because that was just a side comment, like in an earlier chapter.
That he's like training the dog. Yeah.
And
because
then
the dog's
they moved
there.
on and never brought it up again.
Yeah. I didn't think the dog mattered. I was like, oh, they have a dog. Okay. Like,
it's just weird, too, because, like, the family is doing things on their own, and they're not even inviting him.
Yeah.
And I get it. Like, he has a weird relationship with his
parents.
He
didn't talk to them in years.
But it's like, I was like, what?
I did like, though, that there were several scenes where I feel like in a lot of romance novels, it'll focus just on the man and the woman, like the main two people. Mm-hmm. But there were scenes in this book where it'd be like Gabriel having a conversation with Felicia, her friend, and then Noelle having a conversation with Gideon, like separate. So I did like that there were other characters and like they all actually talked to each other as opposed to just being like, yeah, that's Isabel, that's Gideon. Like, it's, so I mean, but it was a lot of people. Like, it's because
there were so many side characters I didn't care about.
Yeah. Well, and why would you? Because you haven't read the other books. Like, you don't know them.
If I read the other ones, there's probably a story about each person that was mentioned.
Yes.
And then I'd be like, oh, cool, Felicia's back. But at this time, do not care about her.
You're just like, who the fuck is Felicia?
Like, bye, Felicia, we don't care
bye,
about
Felicia.
her. And, like, the other people in her triple wedding, like, don't care about any of them.
Don't get me started. So,
don't even get me started.
I can't. Like, so besides, here are my main 3 flaws with this book.
Let's hear them.
1, Gabriel, period. Like, just all around. 2, I feel like there's so many side stories going on, and there is not one narrative arc.
Yeah.
No.
Like, it starts with the Thanksgiving, right? Like, we're struggling. Felicia's struggling to make Thanksgiving for everybody. Okay, fine. Like, whatever. And I thought it was going to focus a lot on this family drama as they're falling in love. Will he or will he not go back to the army? And that's there.
Right.
It's there the whole time. Like, I guess that's the arc, right? But then you have this triple wedding that's supposed to happen on Christmas, which terrible idea. Terrible idea.
They want it's very selfish.
Yeah.
They want to have it on Christmas. They want it at midnight. One, people don't want to stay that late. All right, let them go home. And two, like, just don't. Like,
Yeah.
What if you're friends with one of them and you're not friends with all three, and then you're forced to watch 3 weddings?
I just don't know why anyone would want to share their wedding day.
Also, is Noelle supposed to be the bridesmaid for each of them? Just like
Yeah.
one little bridesmaid?
Yeah, so all 3 of the women getting married are like, Noelle, we want you to be our bridesmaid.
Okay, but
like,
she had just moved to this town not knowing anyone.
Right.
So
They
how
all
would
became
she
fast
become
friends.
Friends with all of these people so quickly
because she's so
enough to be in
bubbly
their wedding.
and sweet and like the nicest person ever.
Oh my god, I can't.
But okay, so that's the wedding. That's like the first thing that they introduce right after the family is the triple wedding.
Yeah.
Then it becomes that they I think the window decorating thing comes next. They're going to have the window decorating contest. Then she and Gabriel get snowed in. Then while they're snowed in, they discover all these kittens.
Okay, that's my least favorite part of this story. I think
cats?
by far is the cats.
I just can't understand why.
There were a lot of animals in this book.
The cats are my least favorite part, and I probably will go off about it at some point.
Okay. Well, okay.
But I'll let you finish your
Cats. They find all the cats, and then they're there, and then it's still decorating the window, and then there's like a reminder of the wedding because, by the way, I forgot. Like
I did too.
halfway through
and
the
then
book,
it came up again. I was like, I forgot that she's gonna be an attendant in these weddings.
right?
Like, it was kind of brushed
because
over in the first
they
place.
keep leaving and going different places, and then there was the avalanche.
Yeah.
And so they have to save all these people in the avalanche, and then we go back to the wedding again.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like I'm even thinking about how I've seen one of her stories turned into a Hallmark film. I've watched it start to finish. I've read the book start to finish. But there's always like the strong arc. Like no matter if they're having a snowball fight or finding kittens or whatever it is, there's still the main story. And I feel like that was missing in this because we just got sidetracked by all the other crap going on.
There was a lot.
I think she wanted to have some sort of reveal, like, she's sick, like there's other things going on.
Yeah.
Like, he can't deal with, he doesn't think she suffers enough to,
Right.
like, be with him.
Uh-huh.
And so I think that
Which was
sort
weird.
of the arc that, like, at the end we have this reveal that she had cancer
Mm-hmm.
and all of that, and then he's cool with her, but that was not enough.
Which I did not like either. Like that's... They literally, they
And
hook
like,
up while they're
she
snowed
suffers?
in. Yeah.
Sign me up.
They hook up while they're snowed in, and then he's like, I can't do this. She's too good for me. And then he finds out she had cancer, and all of a sudden he's like, we gotta fuck now.
He's
like,
fucking
this is it right here. Like, now it's okay. I'm like,
And they do.
ew.
And they do.
Like, that's your
Immediately after.
turn is that she had cancer, so now you can have sex again?
And she proves it. She brings out the
She
medical
brings out
papers. She's like, by the way,
Here
here
are my
papers.
Let's make this
I have the
legit.
receipts. I have cancer.
Yeah, that was weird. That was not sexy at
No,
all.
it wasn't.
And then he's like, oh, hell yeah. Let's go. Bring me to the bedroom.
Oh my god. This is permission.
Yeah.
Cancer is a big turn on for him.
It was weird.
I think it's the doctor in him.
Yeah, well,
He's
so
like, this is
I
exciting.
think that's what it was, because they kept going back to this compassion fatigue thing for doctors and how it's like hurting him. But then at the same time, like, I feel like that's kind of what made him interested in her again when he found out she had cancer. So I like that she was trying to tie those in, but I don't know. I just felt like he was just so unlikable. Like, I didn't care.
No, did not.
Yeah. What else? Talk about the cats, Bridget.
Oh
I
my
would
God,
love to know
okay.
why you hate cats.
Well, I hate cats already. But then
Oh.
so the thing is, they go the Christmas decorating window competition.
Right.
She wants to find the perfect tree. They go up to this cabin that the mayor tells her about.
Yeah.
And they are trying to find this tree. No tree is good enough for her.
No.
And then she falls, like, snow falls on her. She gets all, like, cold and wet. And she's like, oh my god, I need to go inside and dry off.
Yeah, she has a lot of problems with snow.
He wants to make sure that she doesn't have a concussion and, like, makes her walk and whatnot. And it's like, I mean, I don't know how much snow fell on her, but it didn't seem that drastic. Like, I think everything's fine.
Well, you're also from Wisconsin.
That's true.
So...
But anyway, they go back inside, and he goes to find firewood, and then he finds, like, 15 cats.
It was
like,
no. He finds the one batch, and then it's either later that day or like the next day where more of them come, and I was like, "I'm sorry, I'll take one. Like I'll let one group of cats slide, but I'm sorry, a second separate family of cats.
Wow, we need to like feed all these cats, and we need to save them. So they bring all the cats into the cabin." And, like, lure them with tuna and bring them in and are caring for them. One, they don't have a litter box. Where are all these cats going? And two, later, they find more cats.
Yeah, what?
Which I thought it was going to be, like, the dad cat.
Right, and like a few
more
stray kittens with
but
him.
It was a different
It was a whole other
cat.
set of
It's a
cat
different-
family.
It's a different cat family. Where are all these cats coming from in the mountains?
Right. I mean, that they even think, they're like, well, this has to be like a house cat because it's coming to me and it knows to sniff me. And I'm like, well, doesn't it belong to someone then? Like, why are you just taking their cat?
It's so
And then where's the character
random.
arc for the cats? Where she gives them away at some point?
She just gives them away.
She cares enough about to have someone come over and take care of these 15 cats.
And then she gives one away to a little girl at the end. Like, and she's like, okay, 12 more to go. Like, you know, what, but
it's just so many cats.
It's very weird.
Yeah.
And it's just why? Like, why? I hate it. It didn't need to be in the book. It didn't need to happen. We didn't need to see her take care of these cats.
I think if anything, it was meant to be showing him at his doctor side again. Like, again, with, like, the compassion fatigue. But, I don't know, it was more about her than it was about him. Because she's the one that took all the cats home and everything. Like, he helps her. I mean, and he's very, I'm like...
being a brooding guy and, like,
Yeah.
didn't talk to her when they were leaving.
He got mad at her for not being angry with him. He's
Yeah.
like, why aren't you mad? Like, I'm being a douche to you.
Yeah,
and you're not
I had
angry.
sex with you and never called you again. Why aren't you upset with
She's
me?
just like, well, what do you want me to do? Like,
She's like, I'm an
you're the
independent
problem.
woman. I don't care.
Oh, and by the way, the reason she's not upset with him after that is because he then, to make it up to her, kind of, gathers his family and their friends to decorate her window for the window contest because she stopped for some reason. That made me, I was like, that would make me even angrier. If I had a store and I was like so set on doing this window decoration, if I came to work the next day and found that somebody else had done it for me and robbed me of that joy.
Yes, because she cares enough to go up in the mountains
And
to
find
the
the perfect tree.
Which they don't find. They kind of abandon that idea when they get snowed in.
Yeah.
Well,
And
also,
then they come back to it, and she cared that much, and then it's just done.
Yeah.
And her being so much of a perfectionist, having this Christmas store, I
Exactly.
would assume that she'd be like,
exactly.
cool, thanks for doing this, but also I wanted to do it.
Yeah.
yeah. Well, he's also like, he calls in sick and he's not going to go into work. And she's just like, what a little bitch. And so, like, because he didn't even talk to her. He
Yeah,
talked
she's
to the
like,
other
oh, he
girl.
just wants to avoid talking to me.
He's
Okay.
Like, well, little punk. Anyways, so then he like is still nearby the store. He's like, I'm not going into work today, but I'm still gonna watch her. And so he's like parks there, and then she's closing up the shop. And he's like, oh my god, the window contest is the next day. I have to do this for her.
I have to save it. And
like,
I get the
He
thought.
has to save Christmas.
Yeah, I get the thought, but again, it didn't make sense. Like, especially again, she owns this Christmas store. You're right, Bridget. Like, that's her livelihood.
Right.
Like, but and again, she started. I also wondered why. I know she has the little story about why she started the Christmas store. Like, has to do with like her grandmother, and they kept stuff in the attic
or something.
But I'm like, okay, you're starting fresh, fine. why this? Like, they make several comments about, so you've never worked retail, you never wanted to own a store, yet you open up a Christmas store. You haven't given any thought to how this store will be run after the holidays. Yeah. So I don't know. Like, everybody just seemed like they didn't have any goals or like plans. Like, it's just like, we just live here and life is good.
I did appreciate how no one was giving her shit about being a lawyer, and then all of a sudden she stopped for no apparent reason because no one else knows. And I like how they didn't, rag on her for that.
No, I mean, it's a sweet town. Everybody seems very like understanding and
except when it comes to Gabriel, because they're like, you're a doctor, why aren't you doing doctor things? And like can't accept that he wants to work in retail when he have his med school.
That was like another problem of mine with his character, was that everything that he like decides on isn't really something he comes up with himself. Like, Mayor Marcia pulls him aside and makes him like have a drink with her like 3 times, telling him like, well, like, we do have a hospital being built. Like, you should be a doctor here. You should do this. Like, you have his brother telling him. You have Felicia telling him. You have Noelle telling him. Like,
but why didn't Noelle think of that? Because he brings up that he met with the mayor to talk about the doctor, like, the positions being available.
And she's like,
and she was like, oh, right, they're building a hospital here. It's got to be such a small town. I feel like it'd be hard to forget that they're building a hospital.
Right, and it's supposed to be like a major trauma center and everything, too. And the famous plastic surgeon is working there or whatever, and just...
There's no way that she'd be like, oh, right. I forgot that they were building
and she's
this
friends
huge
with
hospital.
Everyone in town after being there for like, a few months. Or no, she says she got there in like February or March or something. Okay. So it's been
a little bit.
It's been like almost a year. But
then why doesn't she know about any of these festivals? If Christmas is their jam, like all about they're all about Christmas. They have all these festivals. Yeah. And she's like, oh, I didn't know they did that. Why doesn't she know about any of these?
I don't know. She just seems like the kid in the candy store that's always like, oh my God, oh, there's more over there. Oh, like, and just like can't focus. And it's like something's always new, which is like fun. I like that she's happy and positive and outgoing, because Gabriel is not. But
he's such a dud.
He is. He's such a dud. He's such a loser. I don't know. Even in the end, he like leaves. He's like, yeah, I was driving down to Mexico. Right. And then I decided to stop and turn around and come back.
What? I just want to know, where does he think he was going?
Mexico.
But why?
I don't know. But so in the end...
Go to Mexico for a bit.
Yeah. In the end, I was not surprised in the least, by the way, that they ended up having not a triple wedding, a quadruple wedding, because he does propose for real. She says yes, and he's like, by the way, let's do it today.
All the female empowerment she was building up to, she just ruins it.
I kind of wanted it to end where even if he did propose and she said yes, she's like, but you know what, let's take some time. Like let's we don't have to do this now.
Go on a first date.
Yeah, exactly. Like, we don't have to get married now, but they do. With everybody else. Because everybody else is getting married. Yeah. Oh, and good thing she has a wedding dress ready to go.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my God.
Good thing she was engaged before.
And you know what? The minute...
It's been sized to her, and she's got it ready.
And the minute she's, like, trying on the dress at the end, I was like, oh, no.
Yes, exactly.
They're going to get married.
Yep. That was the moment I knew.
It's like when they get snowed in at the cabin, I'm like, oh, they're going to have sex. Sex scene. Here it comes. Cabin.
Here we go.
Cabin.
Surprisingly didn't happen the first night.
Right.
We had to wait a night to get it.
Well, they were just so focused on those
cats.
Well, I like that they were
so much pussy.
They were definitely for.
Oh my God. I mean, I'm sorry. We're cats, kittens. There has to be at least one pussy joke.
Well, I like that he was like, are there any condoms?
Yeah.
So safe sex.
But there are.
Yeah. But they don't find them until after they like make out.
You found those?
Yeah.
She was like, yeah, they're literally in the only bathroom.
Right.
I love, by the way, this cabin that's like so conveniently placed there. I think it's Mayor Marcia's cabin, but I'm just like, I love that there's casseroles in there. There's condoms. Like, this is like the love cabin. Like, this is where you head on down for a good time.
Like, she has this cabin, she keeps it unlocked in case people want to, like, stay
yeah,
there.
because it's that kind of town.
That would make me feel so uncomfortably being like, I don't know who stayed here. Like, I don't know what they've done.
When did they change the sheets?
She specifically mentions that she strips the sheets at the end. By the way, we've had sex on these, so let's take them off.
Good. It's polite.
She's
for the next,
so polite.
For the next sex cabin adventure.
Right. You know who doesn't? Gabriel.
Oh. He's like, I would have helped you. And she's like, well, you're busy, obviously.
You're busy brooding.
So rude. No. Oh my God, too funny. Okay, anything else you want to rag on, and then we'll talk about the sex scenes or lack thereof.
I feel like we hit everything.
I feel like we did too. Yeah, and you know what? The more we talk about it, it's mostly like little nitpicky things, but then like the awful character that is Gabriel.
Yeah.
So awful.
Yeah.
I think, well, I guess we can save it, but it was just like a funny moment in the book that came back.
Yeah.
The gourds. The nativity
gourds. Oh my God. And you know what? I kept thinking about it too. I was like, I'm trying to picture how this would look.
I still can't.
I can't.
We should look it up and see if there actually are nativity gourds.
I forgot about them for a little while. And then this lady comes in crying. She's like,
I need these nativity gourds.
These were made for you.
I did mark a few lines or like bits that just kind of made me laugh or this wasn't a sex scene. There aren't a lot of sex scenes in this, but this part made me laugh. This was, I think, after the cabin, and Gabriel's inner monologue is, the good news was his hand had stopped hurting and he would be visiting a local doctor to get the stitches out in a couple of days. The bad news was, without his hand to distract him, he'd had more time to think about Noelle. And I had to read that a couple times, and I was like, I got you. Like,
No, he does.
I didn't think about it that way.
There's also a line that Gideon says about, people are always making fun of him, like, for buying these radio stations and, like, the music he plays. Because I think he plays, like, oldies, like 50s, 60s, something like that. And his son, Carter, says something about how that's not real music or whatever. Yeah. And his response is, it's real music. Not everyone wants to listen to LL Cool J. And I was like, I'm sorry, is LL Cool J supposed to be the modern music that we're making fun of?
That's
this
hilarious.
This is not that old. Like, this is
2015.
I'm trying to think.
It was very, I was, I was thinking like 2004 or something.
That's definitely not.
Oh,
I can't name you one LL Cool J song.
I like LL Cool J. Isn't he the one that's on NCIS LA?
I was going to say Lip Sync Battle.
Oh, yeah. But that's him too, I think. Hold on, let me just double check.
Does he do both?
Yeah. Him and Chris O'Donnell are like the main guys on NCIS Los Angeles. Because I was like, ooh, those are like two good-looking, fierce men on that show.
Fierce.
Yeah. I had the biggest crush on Chris O'Donnell when I was little, because he was Robin in the Batman movies in the 90s.
I was going to say, where did this come about that this crush came from?
I just thought he had a shaved head and one earring and
rode
a motorcycle, and I was like, ooh.
He's like bad boy.
Yeah, but he was like the bad pretty boy. Yeah. So I was like, okay.
The shaved head and an earring.
I mean, like shaved, like it was like short. He wasn't like bald, but
I was picturing bald.
No, not LL Cool J bald. Like. Not LL Cool J bald, just like the right amount of bald.
Super buzzed.
Super buzzed. Okay, did you have a segxerpt you wanted to read from our novel?
I think I did. I marked a page. I have to find it.
Okay. And there aren't... This was kind of one's... Oh, you know what? This'll relate back to your comment about Twilight, Bridget.
Oh, I love Twilight. Let's hear it.
Did you read all the Twilight books?
Of course.
Okay. I did too, because by the time I made it through, like, 2, I was like, well, I gotta read to see them bang, right?
Okay.
Like, you gotta finish it.
Of course.
And so they don't bang till they get married, right?
Yeah.
And I remember everybody was
they're
waiting.
Christians.
Yeah, everybody was waiting for that scene that, oh my God, they're finally going to have sex in this book. We're finally going to get to see them have sex in this book. And then the way the book plays out is like, and then he pulled me into deeper water the next morning. And we were like, I'm sorry.
What?
Wait, that's how the sex scene goes? in
That was how
book?
the sex scene went in, what was the fourth Twilight?
Breaking Dawn.
Breaking Dawn. That was how their wedding night sex scene went, was that you don't see anything, they don't talk about it. It literally is like, he pulls her into the water, and then the next morning when I woke
Don't
up.
they, like, they bang once and then she gets pregnant?
Yeah.
Unfortunate.
Super vampire sperm.
Yeah.
But that's kind of how I felt, not the vampire sperm part. That's but the like he pulled her into deeper water and then it cuts to the next morning. That's like how these sex scenes were. Was it's like they would start to get things going and then it'd be like we were laying in bed together later, like, you know, him playing with my nips and that's it. And
Also, there was like that one point too where like they're
Plays with her
talking.
nips several times.
Yeah. And then they're talking and then he just like grabs her hand and is like, put it on my penis.
Yep, there it is.
It's like,
Here we go.
We're just having a
Yeah.
conversation.
And you know what? I've read other Susan Mallery books, even ones outside of the Fool's Gold series, and I feel like they've been sexier or like there's actually been like where you read the actual sex in it, but this one seemed tamer than the rest.
It wasn't that bad. I thought it was
No.
funny near one of the first times they kissed when she specifically mentions that her breasts are flattened against him several times. Like, that's her line that she's been going to. And she was like, oh, I can feel he's aroused now.
Yeah.
But this is not one of the sex scene parts.
No,
one of
it's
the
like-
kisses.
Yeah, when they're
And-
making out.
And then she I forget what she says, but she says something, and then she's like, I happen to be looking down and see his erection goes further.
Yeah. Well, and there's another part where I judge romance based off of the words they use for penis. And so there was no cock. I think he says dick once.
They say dick at least once.
Yeah. And then, but there's one where she says, like, I really wanted to touch. It wasn't manhood. It was something that, like, I hadn't heard used. Like, I wanted to touch the essence of him. Or it was something like that I was like, what? But, I found it. What she really wanted to do was cup them against his need. His need.
Oh, yeah. She says that, and this is one of the parts that I...
Oh, perfect. Okay, take it away, Bridget.
She says, she tilted her head, their tongues circled in an age-old dance of sexual need.
An angel dance?
Age-old dance.
Age-old dance. I was like, Angel, pulling out that Christmas shit again.
No. There's another part on this page, but I'll have to find it.
Okay. No, that's good. Liz, did you have one?
I have a specific one, although I really like how he's like really grateful for the cold. He's like, Gabriel walked through the cold night, grateful that the temperature would take care of any lingering desire.
Oh my God.
I loved that. I was like, of course.
This one I think is from their second sex scene after she tells him that she had cancer and then he's like, yeah, cancer, let's fuck. Like, she met his tongue stroke for stroke, even as she tugged on the hem of his sweater. I love a man in a sweater. He pulled it off, then moved them to the bed. He touched her everywhere, arousing her with first his fingers, then his tongue, exciting her until her breath came in pants and her release was inevitable. She helped him undress, silently.
Yeah, I do remember this.
She helped him undress, silently pleased. His hands trembled. After slipping on the condom, safe sex, he joined with her as the sun slipped slowly over the horizon.
Yep.
All right, I do have
That was like a tongue twister right there, too. The sun slipped slowly over the horizon.
I remember that part because I was like, oh, we're just going to get to it. And I thought the next paragraph was going to go into more detail.
Right.
It did not. That was the end.
That was the end. That's as sexy as it gets, too. Like, you never really get the penetration moments.
Nope.
All right.
Not once.
Yeah.
You got it?
I'm missing it.
This one was kind of funny, but also like, I definitely rolled my eyes at this.
Yeah, sure.
It says, so this one's actually, so she goes, she moaned softly, her head fell back, and he trailed his mouth down her neck. Tell me you bought condoms, he whispered against her skin. She laughed and reached for the hem of her sweater. Of course, her eyes sparkled with amusement. Extra large. That's my girl.
Yeah.
I know.
Because they said earlier when she's like, yeah, I'm not really like I'm not really like a sex kind of girl. Right. She's like, but if I was, like, what would I do? And he's like, get the big box of condoms, extra large. Like, I love it.
It was, yeah.
You know what would be funnier and more humbling if he would be joking about his small dick, because that's extra funny. Being like, yeah, I'm sorry, extra small.
Bridget,
please.
clearly you have not listened to enough episodes of this podcast, because their dicks are always enormous. They are the biggest dicks around.
Let's get a humble guy up in here joking about his small peen.
So much more lovable that way.
I want someone humble,
yeah.
You know?
No, here are the rules of romance, is the men always have huge penises.
Right.
And they always make the women come. Like, always. Every single time. Usually more than once. Like, it's just...
Give me a small peen guy.
Yeah. So if you're out there and you got a small, mediocre peen, Bridget's ready.
That's what I want out of these books.
Oh, so just in the books, not in real life.
Oh, God. Too
much. Well, okay. We've talked about the sex excerpts. We talked about what we liked, what we didn't like. We talked about how Bridget hates cats. Mm-hmm. Now let's take all of that together and give this book a few grades. Okay. It's not just one grade. You're going to break it down, give a grade for story, a grade for syntax, and a grade for sexcapades. And out of 10. 10 being the very best that it could possibly be.
Okay.
So start with story. We'll just go around. Do best for story.
Story, I'll give it like a 7.
Okay, that's fair.
Yeah, I was gonna do like 6.
Okay, yeah, I said 7 too. Like, I was on board. I thought the overall story was cute. I just felt there was like too... Do you know what I mean when there's like, it's too much story but not enough all at the same time?
There's like so many
There's not enough character arcs and there's too many side stories.
Yeah.
That was it. I was like missing the main story and then there was too many other stories happening.
Yeah. I feel like it would be great if you read these other novels and these are like hidden gems. Being
yeah.
like, oh, fun, that's where that character's up to.
And you know what? I've read some of them. And there were still people they were mentioning where I was like, oh, clearly I missed that book. Right, I just didn't even know all of them. Okay, how about syntax? So her writing, her style of writing.
Oh, I mean, I'd give it like an 8. I thought it was well written. It wasn't like weird or anything.
I think I would go 7 again.
Okay. I went a little higher. I said a 9.
Yeah, I mean, she has really good descriptions, too.
Yeah, and I like her tone. It's fun, it's playful, it's light.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. You know when you pick up a Susan Mallery book exactly what you're going to get. Like, there's no surprises. Susan. Oh, Miss Mallery. How about the sexcapades?
Oh, my God.
Lacking.
Lacking.
Yeah.
Out of a romance novel, I expect more than like 2 intense descriptions.
Yeah. Now it did happen. Like it did happen at least. Like
right.
we've actually had a couple where there's either been one scene or no scene. So I mean, it definitely will happen.
What would you give it?
Probably like a 3 or 4.
Okay.
I think I would go 4.
Yeah, I said a 4 too. I just, it's
lacking.
Yeah. I mean, the love, like, it's romance. I get it.
For the amount that, there's so much sexual tension. For the amount that she talks about wanting to have sex with him and he is thinking about it.
Yeah.
It happens so infrequently.
Yeah. Well, and so you said, like, there's great, like, tension and everything. Like, if I see good sexual tension, I expect there to be the payoff scene when they finally fuck. Yeah, it's like you've been waiting. There
was no passion.
Yeah, I call them the slow burn. Like, it's a slow burn and then it's like a fire. But not so much with this one.
No.
It's like a slow burn and then...
Instead, we got cats.
Yeah. Slow burn and cats. Yeah. There you go. All right, so overall, were you happy with the experience of reading a romance?
Yeah. This was a good introduction into romance.
Mm-hmm. Cool.
It started off a little slow.
Yeah.
But then I feel like the ending had me hooked a little bit.
Brought it together. Cool.
Yeah.
Would you read either another Susan Mallery romance or just another romance novel in general after reading this?
I think I liked that there was some amount of story.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like an example, not that I read it, but, from the movies, 50 Shades, they just try to throw in story real quick and then, all the
To,
romance
break up the sex.
the sex scene.
Yeah.
And so I like that there was at least some kind of story
Yeah.
overarching.
Yeah, I probably would. I kind of want to read the one with Gideon.
Know what's going on with them?
I want to know what's happening.
You should go back. Honestly, you should go back to the very beginning. It's...
Yeah.
We need to know about this lost son.
We also need to know about
Yeah.
how this town is just female or
Yeah, because I just
intrigued
found
about
that
that.
I'm like,
so
okay.
funny. And you know what? If you go, and we're going to talk about this in a hot second, but there is a website that is dedicated to Fool's Gold, which, mind you, is not a real place, but Fool's Gold
This
CA.
website almost has me convinced that it is.
I know, no. foolsgoldca.susanmallery.com. If you go there, you will see not only a list of the books, but it's almost like it's their own fandom.
Yeah.
They've created a tourist website. They've got the list of all the festivals they do in Fool's Gold. They have the fictional history of Fool's Gold and when it was established and all this stuff. But yeah, it's definitely its own world and universe. So
Do you think Susan made this, or this is actually created by the fans?
I think fans did. Honestly,
I just love that
really
they casted
do.
each book too.
Yes. I know. No, I am so into it. I'm going to go look at it for days.
I disagree with their casting choices, though.
Yeah, we did. When you check out this site, because you have to, whether you read this book or not, when you see who they've selected to play the roles of Gabriel and Noelle, it's very disappointing.
Would you have casting choices for them?
No, I mean, honestly, it's so funny because even though I write, I never picture actors, especially with the landscape we have now changing with so many different types of actors playing roles, that I don't want to put that into a box. I don't want to say it's a 5'7" white female, blonde hair, and that's it. I want anybody to be able to play any role. So
Very true.
But yeah, check out that site, and there's a lot to find. Okay.
Dive into the world of Fool's Gold.
Yeah. Well, and so when I was trying to think of our fun holiday game activity, I thought that it had to do with Fool's Gold. I mean, this city is like no other. And so because they have so many festivals and weird businesses there, like Joe's Bar or Brouhaha Coffee Shop.
I hated that.
That was hilarious.
See, and I love a good coffee pun name, but...
I mean, I'm sure I would probably be all about it. I groan at it, but I'm sure that I would
Yeah, you would go
secretly
there.
like it.
You would go
Yeah,
there every day.
For sure.
So I have 2 questions for you guys. And the first one is, if you moved to Fool's Gold, what business would you open? Because obviously everyone in this town owns their own business.
Jeez, I know.
So we've got the coffee shop. We've got Joe's sexy ass women's bar. There's the weird bodyguard school. What would be, and now the Christmas attic. What would be your guys' business?
I think I would open up a strictly brunch place.
Oh, I love that.
Just only brunch, nothing else.
Would it be just at brunch time, or could I get brunch at 11 at night?
I'm not trying to work that late.
Okay.
I'm not trying to work that.
I think it would be till 4 or 5 p.m.
Perfect.
Because it's got to be late enough where you can
Yeah.
get a nice afternoon brunch.
Okay. A nice afternoon brunch.
Because I disagree with the brunch places that close at 2. It's too early.
It's too early.
I still want brunch.
No, especially in LA, brunch starts at 1 p.m.
Yep.
So, would you do you have a name? Do you have a egg funny breakfast pun name?
I do not have a pun name yet. I'll
Okay.
have to think on it.
Okay. Well, good. Okay, I'm looking forward to
There's plenty.
Brunch at Bridget's and Liz.
God. It's funny. The first thing that came to mind was socks. And that's how boring I am.
Okay.
No, I love that. There's sock stores.
But I already
love
came
sock
with
stores.
a really funny Christmas name.
Ooh.
It'll be mistletoes.
Oh
That's good.
my
That's
gosh.
And
That's fantastic.
socks. No one steal it. It's
Just socks.
Socks.
Just socks.
Yeah, I mean, they have a bunch of those already. But
I
that would be
love it.
mistletoes.
They don't have it in
That
this
could
town.
still be, even if it wasn't Christmas, that could still be the name all year round.
Yeah.
I love that.
Isn't that funny?
You win.
You do.
Only because of the name.
Yeah. No, it's good. Mine would be, I have a business that I do want to open, but there's like another one. I went to this place in Portland that was like a DIY craft bar.
What?
And I feel
Okay.
like every city should have one. And I feel like Fool's Gold would be all about like their paint nights, craft nights kind of thing. So I would have like a bar where you also crafted. Like you went and you did like crafts and activities.
Ooh, can we have a partnership in this? I'll have some microbrewery and it'll be connected with this craft store you got going on.
Yes,
All right,
perfect.
let's open it together.
Okay, Fool's Gold, coming to you.
We're coming for you.
And then question number 2 is, going along with your, original business, what festival would you want to organize or institute? They might already have it because they celebrate everything, but what event or festival would you want to organize and host in Fool's Gold?
Arbor Day,
They probably don't have that one. So
We've got tons of trees.
So what are we doing
Might
for
as
Arbor
well
Day?
celebrate Arbor Day.
Okay.
Tree festival, celebrate the trees.
And we just look at them and say, hey guys, good
know.
job.
Good
Like,
job.
do we dance around the trees?
The details are yet to be discussed.
Okay, but Arbor Day Festival.
Yep.
Great. Okay, Liz?
Honestly, I was just going to highlight a specific day of the week, as I don't have any specific festival. I feel like
Okay.
I would make my own and be like, all right, guys, it's Friday. Let's all just dress down.
Friday the 13th.
Friday the 13th. Oh my God, yeah.
Do that.
Friday the 13th.
There
Cool.
we go.
What would you do for Friday the 13th? Something
geez.
spooky?
Yeah.
It's gotta be spooky.
I feel
Yeah.
like it'd be like, I don't know, I'm thinking in my head.
It'd be funny too if it was in like, March, like spooky Friday the 13th.
Right.
You have
All
to decorate with
spooky.
Halloween decorations
Yeah.
for the one day.
Yes. Oh, that'd be fun though.
Spooky.
We could do it at the brewery craft bar.
Yes.
Yeah.
Make it spooky.
Spooky.
They would definitely have some kind of collab with Brouhaha.
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I feel like they probably already do something for Valentine's Day. So I would want to do a Galentine's Day festival.
Yeah,
and I mean, hello, it's
Because,
a city
they're
of
full
women.
women.
Like, it
That's
should be
great. It's a great
perfect.
idea.
Perfect.
And then all the guys can go chill at bodyguard school, like, or the
And
whatever.
all the women are fast friends anyway, so I'm sure they all know each other. They're all
Yes,
good friends.
they
can
all
go
know each other.
They can go celebrate friendship
Yeah.
Just all
So
gonna get married at this.
over
That's what we're gonna do.
breweries,
it's going to be like a bar crawl just for women.
Yeah. Perfect.
Yeah.
Love it.
To the one bar and now Bridget and my brewery
Yes.
DIY bar.
Yes.
Let's go.
Okay, but I
Perfect.
would really go to a DIY craft / microbrewery. That
Yeah.
sounds amazing.
No, this place in Oregon is fantastic. Like, and I know that they're popping up now because especially paint nights are so popular.
Yeah.
This is like the next one that's coming up. So I made a leather passport holder.
Oh wait, you can make like legit crafts, not just like really lame things.
Oh yeah, no. It's you go and you pay like $30-$40 and you get like a booklet that has the directions for what you're gonna make, and there's like 10 things to choose from.
I want to
So
go
like
there right now.
one of the girls that I was with did a string art thing, like on the wooden board, and you did a string art.
Yeah.
I did a passport holder, and I think the other girl did a passport holder too, but she made it like a wallet. But they had all sorts of stuff. So it was just a lot of stuff with like, either wood
It's like a
or
Pinteresters.
it's and then because it's in Portland, which is like big beer and cider, the bar was like all local beers, ciders, wine, and stuff like
Love
that.
that for us.
Oh, it was fantastic. I was like, why isn't this in LA? Like, come on. But now we're taking it to Fool's Gold, so it
Yes.
doesn't matter.
Fool's Gold. It's gonna be one of the first.
Aw, yeah. So then our last thing on the menu for today is it is the 4th day of Boobsmas, which means it is time for another giveaway.
Ooh.
And so today we will be selecting a lucky winner from for this giveaway, I posted one of those name generators. And so all you had to do was comment with your dirty elf name from the dirty elf name generator to be entered to
love how that
win.
exists.
Yes. And as everybody knows at this point, What you do win is a nice little care package, including your blind date with a book, which has been carefully selected by Liz and Bridget this time around.
You're welcome.
Today's winner is, drum roll please, ladies. Ooh, quieter drum roll please, ladies. Boundary Issues Podcast. Woo! We love Boundary Issues. You can follow them on Twitter at BoundaryCast. They've won and they've gotten a plug. Yeah, good job. And Boundary Issues is taking home a blind date with a book that Bridget and Liz have selected. Why don't you read a little synopsis of what they have in store for them?
So today you will get...
Her father put a price on his head, but this Highlander never expected to fall for the girl.
Ooh.
Death drama? We don't know.
Yeah,
Crime?
sounds good
Possibly.
to me. All right, well, congrats to Boundary Issues. Thank you both ladies for joining me today.
Thank you for having us.
Yes, and thanks to Cooper Baldwin once again for creating our wonderful, dirty 12 Days of Boobsmas song.
Yes, Cooper.
Yes, today we are announcing day 4, and that would be on the 4th day of Boobsmas, my lover gave to me 4 dukes of fucking. And with that, Cooper, take it away, and happy holidays, everybody. May your days be sexy and tight.
Oh, yes.
On the 4th day of Boobsmas, my lover gave to me 4 dukes of fucking, 3 butt plugs, 2 nipple clamps, and a hot hook up underneath the tree.